Hi guys. Well, we begin the quarter of duality, and this is such a timing for me in my life, in my own process, or if I can say the process that goes through me. In the last year, especially the last year, I'm really going through huge changes in my in the way that I perceive relationships and the way that I find myself in relationships, and the whole thing of duality is really becoming something completely different through me, or I can also say I just let the design do itself. Let the mechanics of the Maya do itself. The mechanics of the Maya does what it does, and it's whatever, however we try to interfere, to explain, to bring all those logical formulas that the quarter of duality brings with it, and all kinds of organization, or I don't know how even to say. I don't have the word in English now in my mind, but I will. It will come back to me. So everything we try to put on, all the labels, all kind of labeling, label what we wish to have, all the judgment. You know, judgment is something very, very that is rooted deeply in the quarter of duality. Judgment is duality, and duality is judgment. In the last year, I had the chance, the opportunity. I have opportunities that come from every direction to just inspect and find a completely new point of view, which is also changing. I mean, all kind of new points of views that I just live through the process and prove myself this or that, and then this proving also can change. It's all like in this picture, everything is moving all the time. We know that the only reliable thing in life, in this Maya, is change. So this year, the quarter of duality, the process of the quarter of duality is going to be very special for me, because I'm going through it with eyes which are really open and have less and less agendas about relationships. And I, of course, will share my process with you while we go through the weeks, which are very interesting. And the beginning of the quarter of duality is really, really, I mean, the program is interesting. We begin this quarter with the gate of leadership, gate 7, the role of the self, which is, first of all, it's a role gate, and we have the sun and the earth in 2 role gates, 2 important role gates that are dealing with our interaction with the other, which is the gate, the role of the self, gate 7 in the sun, and the 13th gate, the gate of the listener, our role in interaction as a listener. The 7th gate is the way we interact from within outside, and the 13th is the other direction. These are 2 direction gates from the G center, from the of course, the cross of the Sphinx. And it's interesting to see the main point about beginning the quarter of relationships with leadership. What is it all about? And we know, first of all, it's a logic gate, yes, and it's a direction. It's the logical direction. It's the direction that takes us to the future. And another logical gate is the 17th gate that in the 5th line says, no man is an island, and it is about no end to hierarchies. Now, if we look at this in the context of relationships, and we ask ourselves, what is the gate of leadership shows us as a mark that marks this quarter as something that has to do with logical leadership. So I was contemplating this in the last few days, and I realized a few things. First of all, when we experience duality, there comes, of course, the judgment. And the judgment, by the way, is the 18th gate, which is the opposite on the wheel of the 17th gate with these hierarchies. And of course, when we have hierarchies, and we can look at this word and automatically judge it as something which is really, belongs to the matrix, to the not self world. But this is not correct, because nature is built from hierarchies. It doesn't have to be, this word doesn't have to be taken as something with this stigma of who's stronger. It's not about that. And that's exactly the thing that we fall into in homogenized relationships, because there is always a power game, always power games that, of course, are filled deeply or deeply filled with judgment. And the judgment, it doesn't even matter if we judge ourselves that we are not good enough, or we judge the other. It's the same thing, because we are all one behind, and let's say underneath this illusion of duality. So what happens is that if we look at this leadership thing in the homogenized context, in the not self context, and this is the very shallow aspect of these lines and gates. In the shallow aspect, this leadership is about who's stronger, who's going to lead these relationships. This relationship or these relationships, and it's all about, if we look at the human design of a person, we can see where the not self comes from, and what are the not self strategies. And of course, the power games always begin and end in the not self strategies of our design. But if we live as ourselves, and we just are totally surrendered to who we are, then every design is unique, and every relationship is unique, because I can't have the same relationship with anyone. I mean, I'm what I am, and the other person is what they are, and together we form something which is one unique, one composite chart. I can't have, I can have similar things, but the more I get, the deeper I dive into human design in the last years, I understand that these similarities are not that similar. It is the science of differentiation, and the more we accept this, we can see that all the rules and the labeling, they just collapse, and this for itself is difficult. It's very difficult to let this card house fall and collapse, and we don't have anything other than strategy and authority. We don't have a replacement for these rules and beliefs. We don't have, because that's what the human design system brings us, the science of differentiation, that we have only one thing to rely on, and this is our design. The way this design works in the world, and the way the totality reflects itself through this special and unique design. So what happens is that when we really surrender to who we are, in relationships, we can just see the dance. I mean, one time I lead, or my design leads, because it has its own points and aspects which are stronger. And again, this is not the word, but I just, in certain situations, certain qualities of the design come, and in the natural hierarchies, these qualities can lead the situation. But in others, the other one brings their strong points and aspects, and it's a dance. And to be able to dance in this, we really need to surrender to who we are, and to surrender to the magic that no relationship will be like the other, and no rules can be assumed or whatever. It just, we really need to come as a clean sheet of paper to every interaction, even with the same person, because the transits change us every minute. And yes, we are the program, and the program is us. We can't not be affected. I mean, it can't. It just doesn't work. I see it the last week with the 33rd gate in the sun. I mean, it was amazing. I was nostalgic, and everybody around me was nostalgic about their stuff, and it never happened before. So certain things came out of me, certain things came from other people, and it was this week of this gate. We can't do anything about it. So every relationship will be affected differently from every transit. So it's true that there is no end to hierarchies, and it's true that the gate of leadership shows us that the only leadership we need to take care of and embrace is our own leadership. And our own leadership is our strategy and authority, and our unique manual to our design, so we can really go through these, swim in this duality world, yes, illusional world, with in our trajectory, and we will not just disappear in all this influence that comes from the outside that is not correct to us. Or I can even rephrase it. We are always influenced, and it's always correct for us as long as we follow a strategy and authority. And in relationships, this is really the most important thing, because otherwise our programming and our memories, our how do you say it? All these beliefs we have, belief systems, that the conditioning, all the conditioning we carry, just runs over us. It's like we can't be ourselves. We can't really appreciate what a relationship is, because a relationship is really this ship that flows on this Mayan sea, and all the time it changes. Relationship can't be stable and not change. That's exactly the thing. Relationship changes as everything else. We are in constant change. So, and by the way, the 32nd gate, the gate of duration, that says that the only stable thing in life is change. The only thing that really continues is change. This gate is also from the quarter of duality. So we are going to have a really deep and interesting and stimulating observation this year. I mean, I'm going to have one, and if you join me, you can be stimulated a little bit. So let's see what's going to happen this interesting week that begins at 19 GMT. Israel time is 10 o'clock in the evening. And what happens is that, of course, we still have this logical mental channel, the channel of logic, which really suits all this logical energy. And we are going to have the channel of the alpha. We're going to have the channel of the alpha that is built out of the sun and the north node, and it will stay the whole week. So it's really strong to have the channel of the alpha, the logical mental process. And we have a few more interesting gates. We have another leadership channel, the channel of inspiration, a design of a creative role model, which will be from with the moon and Jupiter, which stays in the first gate, the gate of self-expression. And we have Saturn, which is now stays at the 10th gate. So the G center really roars. Venus just got to the 42nd gate, 46th gate, the gate of the love of the body. So look at the G center. And this is, we're talking about the gate of the role of the self, but look what a self we have here. Very, very strong self. And this is going to be with the energy of the quarter of duality. So I really invite you to watch what's going to, how this self will display itself, and especially all the people with the open G center, open throats. Wow. And the whole thing in the context of duality. Wow, it's interesting. Going to be very interesting. Very very dramatic beginning to this quarter. And then after a few hours, we have the moon enters the 20th gate, the gate of the now, and it connects with Saturn, and we have the channel of awakening. So again, two channels that connect the G center and the throat. Again, very strong self issues. I mean, self, and the G center is about love and direction and identity. And we are talking about relationships. So it could be, I'm gentle. It could be that people are going to fall in love with others because of this configuration. And guys, it's not going to last for long. So please stick to your strategy and authority, because that's the only way you know if this crash or feeling of all this love and identity and direction, if it has to do with the transits or has to do with something more stable than 5 minutes. So I invite you to watch and be very connected to your strategy and authority. In the 8th, we are going to experience the 15th gate, the gate of extremes, love of humanity, another gate in the G center, in the moon. And again, the whole thing about the self is going to be very strong. We lost our mind. What happened? Oh, we lost our mind even here. Yeah, we lost our mind here. The mental configuration. What a relief. We are going to have the 4th gate next week in the sun, which is going to be another interesting issue of the quarter of duality. We'll get there. But so we don't have the mental channel, but we have a very, very extreme and strong identity, love and direction issues. Wow, really, I mean, almost all the gates of the G center, only the driver and the universal love, but all the other are not activated, but all the others. So many people are going to feel it connected directly to their design. people with an open G center and open throat center will feel it anyway, and all the others will, yeah, it's in the air, can't do anything about it, just love it, just love it. And the end of the week, we are going to experience again the channel of the witness. There's the prodigal, and again, very, very strong self. Another leadership channel. It's going to be logical direction to the future, and abstract direction that relies on the past. Wow, really, really interesting week. Whew, I can already feel my G center. Yeah, and thinking about this quarter of duality and everything that I've been going through this last year, wow! And I just feel that I got the opportunity. The program gives me another gift of deepening my observation and deepening my experience. And what I see really is the illusion of duality. I can really feel it because I'm looking so carefully and deeply into myself, and I'm like observing my process. I can see that the real feeling of oneness that we are looking for in relationship is really something that happens inside, and all the things that we expect, or all the agendas that we have, or all the projections that we have on the other, that they will save us, gate 13 in the 5th line, or that this feeling of wholeness would come from the outside. Well, again and again, I notice that it just doesn't happen this way. It is an illusion. The Maya is an illusion, and duality is one of the rules of the Maya. So when we really go beyond this, let our design do its thing, because we can't do anything about it. I mean, that's the way the totality expresses itself and experiences itself through us. But if we really let our design do its job, and we just connect with the thing that is watching, then this duality is really an illusion. And I'm very happy to say that I have the tiniest moments to really feel it. And then I said, wow, I mean, everything I wish for is really already there. And it's there, and I'm part of this there. So nothing's missing. It's really an illusion. And from this point, intimacy and relationships on this platform of the Maya are experienced differently. And if I can be judgmental, it feels better. So let us merge in our strategy and authority, and let this quarter of duality begin differently, even though the program challenges us with this strongest self. We are going to be locked in our strategies, listening to our inner authorities, and especially watching. See you soon.